Thank you, Steffi. And first of all, congratulations to this amazing event. It's your event. You have started it 20 years ago. It's you. And I think this is absolutely important. We cannot say this often again, also what you did for Munich, for Germany, for Europe, because I would like to speak with Sacha, and I would like to speak about Europe, because Sacha is an amazing entrepreneur from Romania, and we will talk about how he made such a big company out of Romania, but he operates internationally, and that is important that we have role models and success stories out of Europe. And I think Sacha is a great example that anywhere out of Europe you can start a billion-dollar company, a unicorn, and that's what we will need, especially in the years to come with the Trump administration and them spending billions of dollars and the AI revolution that is taking place. And I'm calling it a revolution because it will change all our lives in all aspects. And I believe there will be a perfect storm coming against Europe with all the big AI companies coming out of the US. And money is the key component if you want to be a leader in AI, because it just costs billions of dollars to develop these models, and you need to buy the CPUs and the GPUs to run these businesses. They talk now about building their own nuclear power plants to run these models. And we in Europe need to wake up and hold against if we don't want to become a museum, eventually, where the Americans and Chinese come and have a nice holiday. So I think it's very important to have people like Sacha on stage for this audience. And luckily, we are also on live stream, because I want young entrepreneurs from all European countries to start companies. Because only if you start, and that is what I want to talk with Sacha about, only if you start, you will understand what it takes to build a company, and you will, of course, learn from your mistakes, and only then we have a chance to have one day also more unicorns and more billion-dollar companies in Europe to compete with the US and China. And that is actually about the future of our children and the children of our children, because it's dramatic if you look at it. So, Sacha, please, first of all, tell us, what is Superbet about? Why are you so successful? Why did you make it out of Romania, which is a developing country, let's face it? I tend to say, when I go to the US, very humbly, I'm from a developing country called Germany, because in respect, in comparison to the US, we are a developing country. And with the mindset we are currently operating, we are a developing country. So it's very important to understand that when you come from a developing country, what does it take, what you have to overcome. So please, tell us your story, including how you made it to become a unicorn and how you attracted one of the most prestigious investors in the world, unfortunately, from the US.
Thank you, Marc. Thank you, Steffi, for inviting me. So yes, Superbet, it's a leading sports betting company operating from Bucharest. But we have, I think, maybe 15 offices around the world, mostly Europe and South America. So we started as a Romanian retailer, which I founded 16 years ago. And
a retailer?
Retailer, yeah.
Office with real shops?
We still have 1,000 shops in Romania and 3,000 employees working in our retail network. So, and that was like, at the beginning, I felt very unhappy that...
But how did you start? I mean, what made you start this business?
So I moved to Romania 30 years ago from Yugoslavia. I'm originally from Serbia. And when when the war started in my country, I was like a nomad around Europe. And after changing 3-4 countries, I moved in '94 in Romania. I was in the beginning in a totally different business. I was in a timber business, so commodities. And after spending 10-12 years in that business, I was looking for new opportunities. And at that time, some friends of mine from Serbia asked me if I can help them come to Romania and develop a sports betting business. My first reaction was very negative. I didn't know nothing about the business. I was just feeling that it's a shady business, you know, so I was not very happy, but they were like very perseverant. So I was, after like 2-3 calls, I decided to make a kind of Googling, or I think even Yahooing at that time. I'm not sure Google was still there. It's like 2004, 2005. And I've seen a big transaction in the UK happening where Ladbrokes was sold from KKR to Hilton or the other way around, but for £2 billion. And so I have seen, wow, this is a real business, a real institution involved, real money involved. So I need to be a little bit more open to something like this. And that's how I decided to actually start first as an advisor, because my knowledge, I didn't know nothing about sports betting. It was just, I knew Romania well because I was already 10 years there. And so I started helping them develop their retail network in Romania. And then like after 12, 18 months, I've seen that I didn't like the way how it worked. And I offered them to change something in the model. They were not very happy. So I left and I started my own company in 2008. So in the middle of the crisis, I left that Serbian company in May 2008, and I founded Superbet in September 2008. So that's how we started. And actually, the first money which I succeeded to raise, and I had some kind of savings, I have put those initial 300,000–400,000 euro.
Did you have co-founders?
In the beginning, no.
Wow.
No, so I started alone.
How many employees do you have today?
Today, we have probably 5,500 employees, out of which 3,500 are our retail network. We have retail network in Romania, Poland, and Belgium. And we have, and then the other are corporate. We have probably close to 2,000 people in our corporate.
And you have expanded to Brazil, or you entered the Brazilian market?
We entered Brazilian market in 2023, end of 2023.
I think it's amazing. From Romania going to Brazil, which is one of the biggest markets in the world.
Yeah, actually one of the interesting things we have done before Brazil was in 2021, when we acquired with 350 million euro the company number 2 in Belgium, which was kind of first time that an Eastern European company made such a big investment in Western Europe. So it was like...
amazing, yes.
Yes.
So what was the biggest obstacle for you in Romania and going abroad, going international, going into Brazil? And is it because you started alone, right?
Yep.
So how did you scale to 5,000 people? What is your secret sauce?
So I think I was lucky. I think it was good part of luck also. I was lucky to have been to have chosen an industry which had two very interesting characteristics, very different than anything else I have seen in my life before. They was very badly managed because, like me, people have a very negative first thoughts about the industry, and in the same time, it's extremely profitable. It's so easy to make money in this industry that if you succeed to build the right management team, then you can be very, very successful. And that's actually what I have seen from the early days. So when I started the company in 2008, it was very difficult because no banks will lend money to a gambling company. And it was also very difficult to find talents because no one wanted to work in a gambling company. So I remember it took me like almost a year to convince the CEO of McDonald's Romania to actually give me an advice how we can develop the retail network, because I've just seen, I was visiting UK, I was visiting some European countries, and I've just seen that no one of the retailers in our industry have a clue what they are doing. It was very, very, so I was looking for...
What did he tell you? What advice did he give you?
So actually, after we started working, I convinced him. I was very lucky that he left McDonald's like 9 months after I first contacted him. And then I think he had more free time, so he decided to take a meeting. And I think he's even today still a small shareholder in Superbet, since I didn't have enough money to pay for his advisory work. We agreed that half will be cash, half will be in the Superbet shares. And he have several tens of millions of euros today with that small stake in Superbet shares. Yes.
Yeah, very good. Very good. So you ask people who knew, right? You learn from other people who have done it before.
Exactly.
Which I think is an important quality of a founder, to be very humble and to always be ready to ask people who have done it before or who know better about it and learn, right?
Yes.
I think one of the most important features of an entrepreneur is ask questions. So this is why the two of us don't give much talks and don't like talking. We like asking questions, right?
It's true, yes.
So when you built this business in Romania, when did you decide to go international? Because from my own experience, you start always thinking about your home market, and it's big or it's not so big, but one day you think about international. So how did you choose the countries you then went into international?
So actually what happened is that at that time, you didn't have online gaming in Europe. It was very, very small, except in the UK. And I did not thought much about internet. I'm not a tech guy. So my idea was like, how can I build a small McDonald's or Lidl of betting in Eastern Europe? So I was really always focused on the shops. How can we make the shops more efficient? How we can just scale the number of the shops and so on. So like in 2015, we had some dramatic regulatory changes in Romania when for the first time internet betting was legalized. And that was the moment when I really get scared. So that was the only moment in the history of Superbet when I thought about selling the company, because I thought that it's no way we will be able to compete with a big online company. We don't have a clue about technology. We don't have a clue about digital marketing. You know, we just felt that something totally different. And after spending...
Sorry to interrupt you, but I think this is also a super important lesson for young entrepreneurs. There will be many moments and times where you have doubts about your business.
Yes.
And from my own experience, I can tell you, because you're an entrepreneur and you are day in, day out fighting for your business, you often see more dark clouds on the sky and think, oh, is my business going to survive? Do I do the right thing? Are there bigger players who will compete with me and crush my company? And you have to step back in these moments and look at the bigger picture and say, I can compete with these guys eventually. Or what did you do in this moment where you felt like, my company, my business is at big threat from big online players who have far more cash? What did you do? How did you approach this? I don't have the technology, I don't know about the internet enough. How did you go about it?
So in the beginning, I was very passive on the way to, okay, I need to get out of this business before they crush me. So I was looking how to sell the company. But in the same time, I felt a very good connection to the people. So I wanted to sell it only to a company I thought will take care of them.
Of your people.
My employees and my people, yes.
Right.
And I identified a single company which I had like 3-4 offers because we're already the market leader in Romania. But the only one company which I liked was a public company, but still family controlled from Ireland, Paddy Power. We started negotiating with them because they wanted to enter Romanian market. Fortunately today, unfortunately at that time, in the middle of our negotiation, they merged with Betfair, and Betfair management who took over just told we're not interested in retail assets. So we were out of the deal, and we're like a month before the market goes live in Romania with no technology, with no platform. So we had to adapt very quickly. We're a market leader on the retail side, but then all the big players, the Sporting Bets, the Unibets, the Betfairs of this world went live in September 2015 in Romania, and we went live 6 months later because we were just not ready to go live. And it was live, our tech team at the time was 3 people. So it was like we just have a website which we adapted. We had a small backend. And
it's also an important lesson. You don't need many IT people. You don't need many computer scientists. You just need a handful of people. Jeff Bezos tends to say you need a team that you can feed with a pizza, which is usually roughly 6 people. And it's true, because if these 6 people really work closely together, they create better software that has not so many faults and mistakes and errors within, then you have a big 20, 25 people team. Yeah. How many engineers do you have today?
700.
700?
Yes.
Yeah, because you run a global business by now,
yes.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
And you have people where? Did you find them in the beginning, obviously, in Romania?
No, because actually it was like we didn't, when we decided, when we seen that we become very successful in the online space as well, for me it was like, one, it was a very frustrating thing because our platform was like probably the worst platform ever in Europe. So our website was crashing every Tuesday and Wednesday when it was Champions League, every weekend, you know. And before, I was used to be the darling of the customers. They was always sending us great messages. And then suddenly it started like, you are stupid, how you cannot build an F website, you know, and those kind of stuff. And so it was like, I'm happy if I didn't get cancer on my stomach those years. It's good, you know. And we decided that, but funny enough, we become a market leader. Even with that website crashing every single weekend, we just become market leader in Romania in online space as well.
What did you do different? Why do you think you became market leader? Because I think it's a very important lesson against big players coming, for instance, from the UK, knowing the business, but often being arrogant about the market and the country.
Actually, I think it was like, I come to two conclusions from that. First one is that we have some intrinsic value which we're giving to our customers. We're not able to identify what is it exactly, but it's clear that we were giving them something that whenever our site was working, they was coming to us. And second things, that the international company are not as strong as I initially thought. You know, and so that was like the two learnings. And that's the moment when I get back to few of my investors, because, and I proposed them that, look, when you invested in company in 2010, all of you would have been super happy if it would ever become a 10 million euro a year profit company. So what I suggest is that for the next 5 years, everything what is north of 10 million euro, we invest in technology. They accepted, and that's how we started the journey in late 2016, early 2017. We bring Blackstone, what your question, as an investor in 2019, because Blackstone have seen that we're building something interesting, different than the other in the industry. And we...
What did you do differently, if you look at the industry?
When we look in the industry, we have seen that 95% of the industry work on the third-party software. And they are actually more commercial machines which use marketing money to attract customers, to extract as much money they can from them, and then churn them and get the new customers. So the whole operating model was very strange, you know. So they were not really interested in building a long-term customer relationship. So I felt that one of the secrets why we're so successful in early days was because we built that long-term relationship with the customers, and we built the trust in the brand from the customers. They knew that they will always have a very fair pricing, that they will get their money immediately. So all the things which are important when you put your money somewhere. And like industry standard of were around 40% of customers being active in the second or the third months. And in our case, we had like 85% of the customers in the second or third year. You know, so it was a very big difference between...
That's a big number.
Yes.
80%,
yes,
85% of people still being with you in the third year.
Yeah, we still have probably 60% of our base from 2016 in Romania still having accounts and actively managing their accounts with us today.
Amazing. I think it's just another big lesson. I mean, all the successful businesses, obviously, it's obvious, but it's very important, and especially young entrepreneurs don't focus enough on keeping the customer. It's so hard to acquire customers. You spend so much money on acquiring customers that you have to treat them well, and that the customer comes first. And many, many businesses, especially in the internet space, still today think they can acquire customers with a lot of marketing money, and it's a marketing game, like you described from the big players. But they often spend too much money over time instead of taking care of a customer and really make them happy. Because as we know, if you have a customer who is still with you in year 3, he is super positive. He or she is super positive for you because you have spent the most money already on them to acquire them. And now you can work with them, right? So you told me earlier that you have built now an AI business, an AI group in London, but it's interesting, you're focusing again on customer service with this AI initiative, right?
Yes, we're focusing on improving the experience for our customers, because I think this is, I mean, of course, in the future, we will use AI resources also to improve our productivity and other stuff, but I think it's always like the customer is the most important. So whatever we can do to improve his experience, it's like our first priority.
What about Brazil? I'm always fascinated by Brazil because it's a huge market, and big businesses have been built in Brazil. Is it difficult to approach, to enter Brazil?
Yes.
Do you do something different from how you operate in Europe, how you entered new markets? Did you find competitors, local competitors?
Yeah, so it was very challenging, and the thing is that in late 22, I hired a regulatory person from one of my competitors, and that's how I find out about Brazil being a big opportunity. It was an unregulated market which will be like soon to regulate. And they told, okay, that already for 10 years they're discussing about regulating Brazil. So not this time it's really happening. And then I went to the management of the company. At the time I was not actively involved. I was just the founder, board member, and main shareholder, but I was not actively involved in the management. So the manager told me, no way, we're not interested for Brazil. We have our European play. We are like winning in Central Europe. We have that big acquisition in Belgium. So Brazil, it's not for us. Okay.
Your management said
My
so.
management told me so, yes. I went to the board, same situation. Yeah, it's interesting, but maybe not the right time. Maybe go in 2 or 3 years, etc. I went to my partner from Blackstone. Again, the same things. Yeah, it's really not the right time. But I felt very strongly that Brazil should be transformative for us because it's like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for us going from Central Europe to really become a global, because I knew that once it's regulated, it will be very difficult because all the big American and European company will enter, they will buy all the marketing assets, and then it will be very, very difficult to get there. So I had to do the things, I do a few changes. First I changed the board, then I changed the management. Then I went back as a co-CEO.
Now you're the CEO alone?
I'm still co-CEO.
Okay.
I'm still co-CEO, which was much easier because I still control 50% of the company. Then I went and I convinced Blackstone that we should do the test, because the issue was that Brazil was unregulated market, and according to our investment agreement for 2019, they had the veto right for any unregulated territory. And so we agreed that we can do the test with a 6 million initial budget, which I mean 6 million budget for Brazil, it's like 6,000 euro for a week in München, so it's but what the things our new chairman have seen is that their veto rights are just of entering or not entering Brazil and not on the level of investments. So we made the first board where we agreed about the 6 million trial, and then 2 weeks later we make a new board meeting where we right to increase the 6 million to 150 million, and so we invested 150 million euros in 2024 in Brazil, and we are now, I think, number 4 or 5 already in Brazil. It's regulated from the 1st January 2025, so it's just like 2-3 weeks ago it's regulated, and now this is our biggest. We just committed to invest 100 more million this year, and we're expecting to break even toward the end of this year.
So I think this is impressive. But I think there are 2 important lessons, if you agree. One is, as an entrepreneur, you sometimes feel it in your gut.
Yeah.
And then you have to go for it. And you have to even convince people in your own company or change people in your own company. Because as an entrepreneur, I think you feel it. You feel it, and it's of course a talent, but it's something you can learn, because you simply, and that's the second lesson, you never go full in at the very beginning. You never risk the company, you never bet the company. There's no reason to. You go with a small investment, you try a market, you try if it works, and then you convince the rest of the company to follow you, and then you go big in. We did the same when we started with TV advertising. With Jumba, we started with 20,000 euros, which is nothing in TV, and eventually we spent 100 million per year on TV advertising, which for us was also crazy in the beginning, but after time it totally makes sense because you have tested the market and then you're convinced. So I think another great lesson to always start things small, and probably tell us a few more examples of where you tested things or where you went into with small money. Like AI, are you investing big in AI already, or are you starting to find out what is the right combination for you?
No, I mean...
Steffi, you need to tell us, we are always over time. So it's over already? Okay. I see the 00041. So,
okay.
So I think,
No problem.
Sacha,
Thank you very much.
big applause for Sacha, because he's an amazing entrepreneur.